Hello, hello. My name is Cat with a Gun, and welcome to my showcase on the Up, Down, and All Around mod. It allows you to control gravity, and you can do some crazy things with it. Oh, there's my assistant. Looks like we can get started with the showcase. Alright, so to start off, you're going to want to get some anti-mass. This is what the ore looks like. It can be found in the overworld, the nether, or the end. It can be mined with an iron pickaxe or better. Be careful though, because anti-mass floats. It's going to be a real pain to get that back if it floats away. So you're going to want to try to stay near the ore when you mine it, or else it's going to get away from you. You can also craft this, the anti-mass inducer, to make it so that sometimes, when you mine ores using a tool that this has been crafted with, you might get some anti-mass just from that, and it can be really helpful for just getting some anti-mass passively. It's crafted with an anti-mass, an unstable anti-mass, and a compass. You'll learn how to make this in the next step. Also, keep in mind that the Fortune enchantment does increase the amount of anti-mass that the ore drops, so that's a good way to maximize the amount that you get. The first recipe I'm going to show you is for destabilized anti-mass. That's this stuff. To get it, you just put normal anti-mass in a furnace and smelt it. Next up is gravity paste. The recipe is shapeless, so they don't have to be in this exact formation, but you do need these three items: a slime ball, glowstone dust, and destabilized anti-mass. This stuff can be crafted with any piece of armor, and you'll be able to then interact with normal gravity while wearing that armor. We'll talk about what that means later in the video, but it is very important. This is the recipe for grav iron. It is shaped, so you do have to have them in these positions. Grav iron is used in a lot of recipes, so it is very important to have. Here's the recipe for the liquid anti-mass bucket. Like the recipe for gravity paste, it is shapeless, so these can be in any positions. It's used to craft the gravity attuned armor as well as the gravity goggles, which are all very, very useful items. I highly recommend using them because they'll make things a lot easier to set up later on. Finally, here's the recipe for restabilized anti-mass. It's a pretty useful item, and it's used in several recipes, and it can also be turned into blocks by putting one into each slot in a crafting table, so that way you can store large amounts of it in small spaces. Alright, so now that you know some of the basic recipes, we can start manipulating gravity. The simplest and most basic way of doing this is with a gravity anchor. The way these work is if you have one in your inventory, it'll change the direction of gravity for you to a specific direction. For example, the up gravity anchor will reverse gravity, and the north gravity anchor will point you north. You should be careful with these though, because, for example, with the up gravity anchor, you can easily fly too high up into the air and not be able to get back down. There's other risks too, but we'll get to that in a minute. To craft the up gravity anchor, you use a compass, an iron ingot, and 3 grav iron in this formation. It can point towards either of the top corners, it doesn't matter which one. The down gravity anchor is the same thing but inverted and can point towards either of the bottom corners. The north gravity anchor is shaped like a T. The compass at the bottom, then an iron ingot, and then 3 grav iron across the top. The south anchor is the same thing but inverted. The east anchor is pointing to the right, and the west anchor points to the left. Pretty simple, right? If you're using an up anchor especially, be very careful, because if you miss a block and fly too high up into the air, you'll start taking drowning damage. Higher still, and your screen will start freezing over, and if you go too far, it'll treat you as if you're in the void. Here's an example. You do not want that to happen. You should also be careful with some of the sideways anchors, because if you're, for example, in the plains and you jump and fall off of something, you'll fly until you hit something. Before you go any further into this mod, you should definitely craft the gravity attuned armor set. Without it, you'll only be able to interact with strong gravity fields, which are really expensive to create. With it, you'll be able to interact with other fields. One piece of the armor allows you to interact with weak gravity fields, and 2 pieces allows you to interact with normal fields. Crafting it is pretty simple. It's just like iron armor, except with a liquid anti-mass bucket in the middle, except for in the case of the chest plate, where it's at the top. You can also just craft iron armor and then put the finished armor in the grid with the liquid anti-mass bucket, which is useful if you already have iron armor and don't want to use up more iron crafting the whole set from scratch. Another thing that you should craft early on is the gravity goggles. These will allow you to see where gravity fields are, which is amazingly useful for setting up your machines. You can also apply gravity paste to any armor, which will allow it to have the same effect as the Gravity Attuned set, which is great if you either already have Diamond or just don't like the look of the Gravity Attuned armor. It does look kind of weird. So, it seems like I actually misunderstood something. It said 0 out of 1 for weak gravity and 0 out of 4 for normal gravity, and I inferred that that meant that 1 piece of armor was suitable for weak gravity and 4 were for normal gravity. However, when you put it on, it says 1 out of 1 and 4 out of 4. I'm not sure why it listed that way, but it seems like you only actually need 1 piece of gravity attuned armor or of armor with gravity paste on it in order to interact with both weak and normal fields. Sorry about that. Now for the gravity generators. These are one of the most versatile ways for you to change gravity to your liking. They come in weak, normal, and strong variants, and each of those has a normal and a reversed version. The normal version accepts a redstone signal from the back, and the gravity goes towards the arrow. The reversed version takes a redstone signal from the front, but is otherwise exactly the same. The weak and normal generators will only work if you're wearing a piece of gravity-attuned armor. The strong generators will work regardless. My assistant will demonstrate how they work. Now, as you can see, when he's flipping that lever, nothing's happening, because he isn't wearing any gravity-attuned armor. Try putting some on. Now he's wearing gravity-attuned boots, and when he flips the lever, it works like a charm. In creative mode, you can fly back down, but in survival, you need some way to turn it off. Try out the normal one just to make sure. Exactly the same. By the way, those boxes that you're seeing right now, those are from my gravity goggles. I'm holding them in my offhand because they'll work in main hand, offhand, or head slot. Take off those boots. You don't need them for the strong generator. See? It works even though he's not wearing that armor. Those are really useful, but they're also really expensive. We'll show you the recipes in a moment. Gravity generators are really useful, but you need to know how to craft them first. The weak gravity generator can be crafted with 4 stone, 4 cobblestone, and a restabilized antimass. It's not too expensive. The normal gravity generator can be crafted with 4 grav iron, an iron ingot, and 4 weak gravity generators. The only time you'll actually need this is to override the weak gravity generators, since otherwise they're basically the same. They're not any faster, and you still need to wear the armor to use them. The strong generators require 4 normal generators, 4 gold ingots, and a lapis lazuli block. It doesn't seem too expensive, but think about the amount of grav iron you need to make this. And the lapis lazuli block will scale, and eventually it's going to get very, very expensive if you need to make a lot. Now for one of my favorite parts of this mod, gravity plates. They're really fun to use, and they're pretty useful. I was going to have my assistant demonstrate how they work, but I kind of lost track of him. Wonder where he went off to. Huh? What's that? Oh, there you are. Mind demonstrating for the viewers how gravity plates work? When you step on a gravity plate, your personal gravity changes to match the direction of the plate. So you can do little loops like this. Or, you can do a whole parkour course. Why don't you give it a go? Wow, and on the first try too. Impressive. Now I'll show you the recipes. Here are the recipes. They're all shapeless, so you don't have to remember exactly which pattern to put them in. First, the weak plate, which of course will only work if you're wearing gravity-attuned armor. It's crafted with a stone pressure plate and a destabilized antimass. Next, the normal one. I'm not really even sure why you would make this one, I guess just for aesthetics. It's an iron pressure plate and a restabilized antimass. Now for the strong one, which works even if you're not wearing gravity-attuned armor. It's made with a gold pressure plate and 4 restabilized antimass. If you want to make it glow, you can also use either 4 glowstone, a glowstone block, or a torch, and then it'll emit light. Pretty cool, huh? Now for the really fun parts of the mod. We'll start with the Graviton Pearl. It's crafted with 4 restabilized antimass and an ender pearl, and it can push and pull entities. I'll spawn in a sheep to show you. If you hold right click on the Graviton Pearl, it pushes entities away. And if you hold shift and right click, it pulls them closer. It's really useful if there's a lot of mobs around you and you need to push them away quickly so that you don't get killed. Next up is my favorite set of items, the gravity controllers. First is the weak gravity controller. You craft that with 4 restabilized antimass, 4 levers, and any anchor. It's a direct upgrade from the anchor, in that you can control which direction it points. All you have to do is have it in your inventory and right click to activate it. Of course, it's not going to work since it's weak and I'm not wearing any of the armor, but I can show you how it works. You right click to activate the gravity. Right click again to disable it. Hold shift and right click to change the direction. And you can still right click and disable it. Now, if you want to upgrade that to normal gravity so that it'll override weak gravity generators, you can put the weak gravity controller in the middle of the crafting table and surround it with 4 graviton pearls and 4 grav iron. This produces normal gravity but is otherwise the same. If you want to upgrade to the strong gravity controller, the best item in this mod, you're going to need a lot of stuff. 4 graviton pearls, 3 grav iron, the normal gravity controller, and a space-time anomaly. The space-time anomaly is extremely expensive. 4 antimass blocks, 4 graviton pearls, and a nether star. I know, it's really expensive, but it's worth it. See, with this item, I can toggle down. But of course, that's not going to do anything. I'm already going down. So why don't I switch it to north? And then I can switch it to south, for example. And then in my inventory, I can see which direction it's pointing me, and I can control exactly where I want to go. You can do some crazy stuff with this item. So, to demonstrate the power of the strong gravity controller, we set up a very, very difficult parkour course. My assistant's going to try to run through it. We'll see how it goes. Before we start, though, I should tell you how the course works. The diamond blocks indicate the start and end. The red blocks he runs or jumps on. The yellow blocks are where he switches the direction of his gravity. And these diamond blocks at the end are where he's supposed to land. We'll see if he can do it. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, start. See, not only does he have to be able to do the parkour, he also has to remember which direction everything is. North, south, east, and west, which is very difficult to tell in Minecraft. And now for the hardest jump of all. I'll give him that. It was close enough, and he showed how well it works. First try. Sure, buddy. Sure. So, that's it for today's episode. This was the Up, Down, and All Around mod. There is a link to it on CurseForge in the description. It is an amazing mod. I suggest you try it out. We were also using just enough items and world edit to help build our stuff and to help see the recipes, and it is so helpful. All of these mods are amazing, and I highly suggest you use them. Our segments were anti-mass ores, gravity anchors, gravity attuned armor, gravity generators, gravity plates, and gravity controllers. And there's timestamps for those in the description as well in case you want to watch specific ones to learn how they work better. That's all for today, folks. Come on in. And thank you to my wonderful assistant. Cat out.